Hey everyone, it's Rebecca from Rebecca's Adorable Baby Gardener. This is a new book I did not put in my book haul. It's called Carson Crosses Canada, and we have someone new reading it, so enjoy.
Carson Crosses Canada. Annie Magruder and her little dog Carson lived in the town of Tofino. Every day they walked beside the great Pacific Ocean. They loved the salt air, they loved their red house, and they loved their sweet life together. Then one day, Annie got a letter. "Pack your suitcase," she told Carson. "My sister Ellie's sick, and she needs some cheering up." Carson didn't have a suitcase, but he got very excited when Squeaky Chicken went into the car. Annie packed camping gear and dog food. She filled a cooler with bologna sandwiches. Then she and Carson piled into the car, and they drove east.
So it's like they're going on a trip, let's see where they go.
All morning, they drove in the Rattlebank car. Carson scratched at the door. "Were they there yet?" "Oh no," said Annie. "It's a very long way. All the way across Canada." "But there's a surprise for you when we get there, Carson." Carson loved surprises. Squeaky Chicken had been a surprise. Every time Carson chewed, he got a brand new noise. Squeak, wee, wee.
This is his favorite chew toy.
On they drove, along twisty roads, through mountains as high as the sky. "The Rockies," said Annie. "If we were younger, we could climb them." "Rough," said Carson. "You're right," said Annie. "It would be rough." That night, she put up their tent in the woods. Carson watched out for bears. No bears came, but Carson was ready.
He was ready for the bears if they came.
They rolled on down to a land of lumpy humps. "Hoodoos," said Annie. "This is dinosaur country." When Carson saw the giant bones, he got very excited. Was this his surprise? But before he could take a single bite, Annie dragged him away. "Settle down, boy," she said. Carson had never imagined a bone that could get so big.
Those bones aren't for Carson. Those are dinosaur bones.
Next day, the land flattened out. Grain grew in carpets, yellow, blue, gold. "Oh my," said Annie when they stopped for lunch. "Will you look at all that sky?" But Carson was looking at the ground. There were grasshoppers everywhere. It took most of his lunchtime to catch one. He ate it for dessert.
So I think they're in the prairies there because there's a lot of flat ground and all that colorful stuff, so yeah.
The next day was a scorcher. That's what Annie said. The sun beat hard on the highway. Carson drooped all over. When he saw the lake, he was so happy he tried to leap out the window. Annie held him back. "Hang on, boy," she said. Soon as they were both in Lake Winnipeg, Carson dog paddled up to Annie and gave her a lick on the nose. For one cool blue moment, they were exactly the same size.
They were so big they looked exactly the same size. Isn't that crazy?
After that, there were days of rocks and trees. Carson thought the trees would never end. He barked and barked out the window. Where was his surprise? Annie gave him a pat. "It's still a long way to Elsie's." That night, they listened to the loons. Ooh, 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 ooh. "Oh my," said Annie. "Canada, such a grand land to cross."
Have you guys ever been on a trip when you were younger, waiting to get there? I know I have.
And then came a grand sight indeed, a wall of water thundering down a cliff. Carson yapped in amazement. He was used to water that stayed flat. He and Annie watched till they were soaked all over. Then Annie went to buy a souvenir of Niagara Falls. Carson found a grassy spot and left a little souvenir of his own.
I think we could all guess what that souvenir was.
Next came a lively old city where people called Carson a chien. "That's dog in French," whispered Annie. They sat at a cafe and ordered a pie filled with pork. It was called a tourtière. Carson didn't care what it was called, as long as it had meat. He ate that pie in 2 bites.
Silly dog. I must have been hungry.
And they still kept on driving. Carson was half asleep when Annie let out a yell. "Look, the Atlantic Ocean!" Carson jumped up and ran, right to the water's edge. It smelled like the ocean back home. He sat with Annie and watched the tide go out. It left a sea of mud as far as the eye could see. "Oh no," cried Annie suddenly. "Carson, don't you dare!" But Carson couldn't help himself. He rolled all over the seabed. Best mud ever.
A dog's favorite thing, and everybody's with a dog. Worst nightmare.
The next day, they crossed to an island of red and green. "Just like a postcard," said Annie. She stopped at a beach to buy lobster rolls. Carson ate his in 1 gulp. "We're getting close," said Annie. "I hope you'll like your surprise." But Carson knew what he'd really like: Annie's lobster roll.
So I believe they're in PEI right there. And of course Carson is only thinking about more food.
"We're almost there," said Annie as they left the island. In the campground that night, there was fiddle music, so friendly and fast it made everyone dance. Annie clapped and jigged. Carson chased his tail. "Tomorrow," whispered Annie as they snuggled in their tent.
I don't know about you, but I love the colors and illustrations in this book. Yeah, that's partly why I bought it. It really does represent Canada very well.
The Rattlebang car drove onto a ferry, and at last they were finally there. A house stood waiting beside the ocean. It was red, like the house back home. Out came a woman who looked like Annie. Her steps were slow, but her smile was as wide as the sea. "Oh, my dear," cried Elsie, and she hugged Annie hard. "I am so glad to see you." The hugging went on for a very long time. Carson let out a yip. "Oh," Annie said. "Do you want your surprise? Look, there he is."
It's another dog. I wonder who it is.
Carson stared. His surprise was a dog? A dog who looked so much like Carson. It was like looking into a mirror. "It's your brother," said Annie. "Digby, do you remember?" Carson barked with delight. This was even better than Squeaky Chicken. Carson hadn't seen his brother since they were pups. He couldn't believe how handsome Digby had gotten.
So Annie gets to see her sister, and Carson gets to see his brother. How adorable.
As they unpacked the Rattlebang car, Elsie smiled. She said seeing Annie and Carson was the best medicine in the world. In the days that followed, they walked together beside the great Atlantic Ocean. Annie and Elsie, Carson and Digby. They loved the salt air, they loved the red house, and they loved their sweet time together. It was grand.
So there's a picture of all of them. Annie and Elsie, and Carson and Digby.
The end.
So I hope you enjoyed that book as much as Dakota and I did. Thank you for my narrator for reading. And if you haven't, my baby giveaway is over tomorrow. I will be drawing the winners, so good luck to everyone. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.